Went on a date with this guy and the date went pretty well, so I invited him to go to this party I was going to at my friend's house afterwards. And that was fun. And then at the end of the night, he's telling me all these super nice, very romantic things. He's oh, I had such a good time with you, you're so pretty, you're so fun, I would have followed you anywhere, talking about coming to the party with me, I had the best time. Never hear from him again. Never heard a peep, not a text, not anything. If that doesn't sum up dating in 2025, I don't know what does.
Man, you are one pathetic loser. No offense.
You know, I hate to break it to you, sister, but you and your kind have pretty much turned something that was meant for people to get together and romantically bond, and you ended up turning it into a circus freak show. And I gotta tell you, woman, you are the main attraction. The men you want will see you, they'll tell you what you want to hear, and they'll take you where you want to go in hopes of getting you into less than pants. And when that proves to be a fruitless endeavor, thanks to years worth of emotional damage, they're gonna ghost you and move on to the next chick. It's as plain as day, lady. When you shun the proud members of the illustrious bottom 95% club, you can't be surprised when all that's left over are the dudes who aren't gonna take you seriously. Because there's one thing that Chad knows, lady, and that is to never take a sideshow freak seriously.
Yep. If I've ever known perfection in this eternal life, it was as a perfect jackass.
Male loneliness epidemic? Listen to this one. I was out the other night, just having a girls' night. It was so much fun. It was so cute. And there was a guy, very much older than me, very obviously older than me. And he was oh, can I buy you a drink? Blah, blah, blah. We're yeah, it's my birthday, just turned 30. He's oh, you just turned 30? Might as well be 40. And I was oh, how old are you? He's 49. And I was whoa, what's it like to be 50? He's I'm 49. Okay, but you just came into my space and made this joke about me being 40 because I just turned 30. And then you see where the disconnect is? Thinking, oh, haha, that's really funny to say. I'm gonna embarrass you in front of people. But then when I'm oh, how's it being 50? Because you are 50. In 2 months you'll be 50. He's all of a sudden
As many fish.
And it's not a cod.
Alright, woman, let's just get the obvious out of the way. First off, that did not happen. You know it, I know it, and the entire planet knows it. So just because you imagine the scenario in your head, it doesn't mean that it actually happened. So stop pretending already. And second, that guy is still totally right. You might as well be 40 because you're past your prime, you're still single, and you're trying to shame imaginary men for being almost 50. Now I get it. You're 30, you're childless, and without hope of finding a guy. So you're naturally going to be sensitive over the fact that as you get older, the attention you're going to get is going to be less and less. But that was your own doing, sister. Don't take it out on us. And finally, I don't see what this has to do with the male loneliness epidemic that you keep talking about. If anything, this just proves why men are avoiding you like zombie vampire telemarketing Taylor Swift cultists. You know what? On second thought, I'm gonna walk that one back. Zombie vampire telemarketing Taylor Swift cultists are actually fairly easier to avoid because even those jagoffs can take a hint.
That's funny because it's so true.
Ladies, when you get out of your car and you're about to walk into a store and you're walking and there's a guy that's also walking and you're about to both be walking into the store, and 9 out of 10 times he slows down so you can pass, so you can walk in front. I just realized free will exists. This exact scenario just happened to me, and I just stopped. I just stopped by the door and waited for him to pass. Never done that before. Didn't realize free will exists. Mainly did that because I was about to film a video and I was filming and I needed to film in 0.5 and he would have been in my shot. So I decided to let him pass, but
you have had the frontal lobe of your brain removed and replaced with bubble wrap.
Now wait just a gosh darn minute right there, middle-aged lady. You mean to tell me that you're just realizing that free will is a thing now? I mean, it's not really all that shocking that you have no idea that you're free to make your own choices in life. I mean, you are a modern woman after all. Next to endlessly rambling about nothing, applying makeup, being both boring and insufferable at the same time, having a 4th grade reading competency, rampant entitlement, lacking any form of practical life skills, being irresponsible with money, and not being able to fix a glass of ice water without running the risk of creating a massive inferno. Avoiding accountability is what you do best. And what better way to avoid that than just to assume that you have no free will in life? In fact, the only real thing that's shocking about this stunning revelation is how unsurprising it actually is for you to realize. And even then, it's still not all that surprising either.
That's actually a perfect example of using our free will. Just stop. Just wait by the door for him to pass. If you feel uncomfortable, if you don't want to walk in front of him, or just like, you know, you don't want like a man walking behind you for whatever reason, just rubs you the wrong way, just wait. Just stop and wait. Obviously not like in the middle of the fucking road. Like obviously don't get hit by a car. But just like stand and wait by the door for him to pass. Because I feel like I'm always in these situations where it's a guy like walking behind me because I walk too fast. And I don't like it. I just don't like someone like breathing down my neck. So a great solution is to just let people pass. What is he gonna do? Stop and wait for you to pass? I mean, at that point, I would just stand there all day just to prove a point. But anyways, yeah, I hope you guys have a good day.
What in God's holy name are you blathering about?
Alright, so in other words, you saw a man you didn't find attractive and decided that he was a psychopath. Woman, you're walking across a parking lot into a store in broad daylight. Now, I understand you're incapable of understanding such simplicities, but in order to walk into a store, you need to walk through the entrance, and there's typically only one of those. Now, absolutely, you should be practicing situational awareness, but this is just ridiculous. The dude was obviously 10 feet behind you, and you were not in any clear danger. It's just that your life is so boring and empty that anytime you see a man walking in your general direction, you need to feel afraid. And if you think practicing your free will and letting the dude enter into a building first is somehow going to help you, then you just don't understand how crime works, woman. But I guess I can't blame you for that. You are over the age of 30 and just now understanding the concept of free will.
What did we learn, Palmer?
I don't know, sir.
I don't know either.
Top 6 sexiest types of men, no debate, stay with me. Men who can parallel park perfectly the first time. Men who fix things that weren't broken. Chubby guys who send you memes instead of good morning texts. Quiet dudes who only speak to roast their best friend. And men who hate people but somehow adopted a rescue dog. How many of these did you get? Because I'm already picturing us.
That's why I praise the Lord for prostitutes.
Yeah, nice try, sister. Nobody cares what you find sexual. And that's just because we don't bother with catering to the whims of desperate thoughts. We got a better taste in class, like addressing an intergalactic space concern from a fine member of the bounty board. Middle 4 writes, Dear Locke, I needed gas, so I dropped by Gertruck's 5 to fuel up, and I was surrounded by Granny Gertrude clones. They all talked slowly and slurred their words, and it was all nonsense. The gas pump gurgled slowly as Granny Gertrude sat in a kissing booth and not shutting up about being paid $50 for a kiss. I couldn't get out there fast enough. Your planets sure are weird. Brother, you don't know the half of it. Fuel depots in Sector Sigma are kinda screwed. About 100 years ago, Sigma fueling stations were a shining beacon of hope. Super clean, friendly staff, they'd recalibrate your view screen, stop off plasma emitters, and even polish up your cruiser as they'd make small talk about the weather or the latest intergalactic civil war. But as time went on and the movies got worse, they're now a shadow of their former glory. And oddly enough, one of the reasons why is actually because of Granny Gertrude. Now, contrary to popular belief, Granny Gertrude is not a clone, but nobody can be blamed for thinking otherwise. She's just one of the many broads who accidentally stumbled into the forbidden art of astral projection. Now, our intergalactic space scientists have been trying to figure out why, but the closest theory they could come across was that boxed wine combined with true crime dramas and the brainwaves of feminist bitterness somehow all combines to accidentally transmit their likeness to pretty much anywhere in the known universe. Now, Granny Gertrude's kissing booth is kind of a funny story. She's actually forced to do that. You see, these broads have been around for a while now, and the Intergalactic Council of Space Elders decreed that because astral projections aren't technically real, they have no rights and therefore aren't protected under corporate space law. And the day that happened, it's pretty much been a free-for-all to see who can own as many astral projections projections as they could, because at that point, it's pretty much free labor. And even if these astral projections are technically useless, property's property in the eyes of Sigma law, and even the most useless of broads can still be used. And because a modern woman is drunk most of the time anyway, the astral projection is permanent. There's nothing they can do about that. So they really have nowhere to go, and in all honesty, from a corporate standpoint, their strategy is pretty brilliant, if not a little ironic. The fuel depot barons are not only obsessed with efficiency, but also staunch anti-loitering advocates. They don't want any customers hanging out at their fuel depots any longer than they have to, and they accomplish this by using these enslaved astral projections to loiter around and either verbally or sexually harass anybody who sticks around for any longer than the pre-approved time, which has been disclosed to exactly nobody. Now, the kissing booths are a last-ditch effort for these broads to escape the bounds of their corporate slavery. If they can accumulate 100 million intergalactic space bucks, they can upgrade their slave status to indentured servitude, which would qualify them to be able to have one 15-minute vape break every week. But these projections are so worthless that they can't even provide anything that even could be remotely considered a marketable service. So they resorted to kissing booths and offering advice on how to update dudes' dating profiles to increase the odds of matching with other broads. Some of them have back-end deals where they hang out outside of toilets and slam on the doors whenever a dude is trying to take a leak to remind him that he's taking too long. But those freaks take their work way too seriously, and most depot managers sympathize with their customers and feel like they have the right to take a crap in peace. It's a racket that nets them hundreds of dollars of taxable income a year. And when you're dealing with a minimum tax rate of 54%, they're passing the savings onto the corporate overhead. Yeah, it does kind of get annoying when you're standing at the self-serve antimatter pump, minding your own business, when Granny Gertrude comes up to you and starts slurring her words about how you're refueling your cruiser wrong. It's only natural that you want to pay her $40 to leave you alone, but if you have to go that route, the best thing you could do is carry a handful of loose pennies and just throw them at her. She's an astral projection, so it's funny to watch her try and pick up pennies off the ground when her fingers aren't even technically there. And in that kind of a world, that's just the gift that keeps on giving right there. Hope that clears it up for you, dude. And thanks for reaching out and for your support. And thank you to all of the fine members of the Bounty Board for their continued support as well. With folks like these, it makes those gas stops a hell of a lot more bearable. All hail! And if you're interested in some tales from the Lockverse, head on over to the Bounty Board over on Patreon to check out a specialized tier where I will regale you with stories from my neck of the woods. The link is in the pinned comment down below if you want to check it out.
I've never once met a good man. My entire life, going on almost 32 years, okay? I've never met one genuinely good man. Every single man I have encountered has done something absolutely horrific and minimized it. Every single man that I've encountered is a liar, is a perv, and does not see women as humans. Every single man that I've ever encountered is so far up the patriarchy's booty butt. They genuinely think that it's okay for them to not grow past the mental age of 12. That's racist! They genuinely think that having a job is all that they need to do.
You need to face the fact. You're a racist. A racist. You, not me. I'm not the racist.
Oh, hello there, Miss Poopy Pot. My name's Kettle. It is awful to meet you. And it's also pretty interesting how you say that we're all terrible people when you actively go out of your way to interact with these men. And it's also interesting how you're somehow blaming us for the behavior of modern women. But I guess the thousands of hours of modern women openly bragging about paying their own bills being worthy of song doesn't count, huh? And if modern women acted like they were 12, it would mean that they matured by at least a minimum of 8 years, which is the best case scenario for most modern women anyway. But it doesn't really matter because when you look at men, you despise us just because we're men. And even if a man treats you with dignity, you're still going to accuse him of being vile. You won't be able to help yourself because you being a victim is way more important than actually being a nice person. And much like an entitled brat, you'll kick and scream and bitch and moan whenever something doesn't go your way. And that's not the patriarchy's fault, sister. You have your inability to think to thank for that one.
I have never met a good man. Not my father, I don't consider him a good man. My brother's really not good men. My ex, baby daddy, not a good man. His dad, horrible man. His two brothers, one of them is halfway decent, but still don't consider him good. His sister's husband, really shitty. All of my male family members, horrible people. All of my past male colleagues, all of my male instructors, professors, all of them are fucking horrible. horrible. There is no such thing as a good man. And if you think you're a good man, please explain why. I'd love to hear it, because I guarantee you, probably 99.99% guarantee, your explanation is going to show that you are not a good man.
Whoa, that is some deep dish racism, motherfucker.
Well, that's the problem right there, sweetheart. It doesn't matter what we say because you've already deemed us guilty by association. So what exactly is the point? And the thing is, we have nothing to prove to you. We're under no obligation to prove ourselves as quote-unquote good people, especially to someone as hateful as you. And even if we did, what good would it do? It's not going to change your bigoted nature. That's not to say that there aren't men that aren't bastards out there. Those dudes definitely exist, but you can't blame us for them, especially when the vast majority of us are just minding our own business. But apparently not being a bastard isn't enough for the likes of you. And it's awfully interesting how you don't even point out what makes a good man. But that's only because you're so angry and bitter that you couldn't name a positive quality if you tried, which is fine. Your opinions are much like your existence. They don't matter at all.
Day and night she talks. Each word more useless than the next.
So I got dressed this morning, a cute little dress, because I'm not going to the gym today, so I can finally dress cute. My husband made a grave mistake. Before he left, he did not acknowledge that I looked pretty. He did not compliment me. He did not say, wow, you look so good. He just left. And I was like, wow, I didn't get the memo. I didn't know you hated me. Whoa. I see where we stand. So he left, and I realized that he never complimented me, and I was like, that's crazy. Huh. And I was questioning like all of my life choices in that moment. And then he came back in because he forgot something, but we all know it was actually because I was Bluetoothing his brain. I manifested for him to come back and be like, oh wait, let's start over. You look incredible, which is exactly what happened. He came in and he like looked at me and he started complimenting me and you know, all the things. And I was like, yeah, I did that. It wasn't because you forgot something. I made that happen with my brain.
Ooh, yeah. I'm gonna have to go ahead and sort of disagree with you there.
Woman, you really need to listen to yourself here. Your husband didn't give you a compliment, and now you are starting to contemplate divorce proceedings. Now, I understand that your brain power is on par with an 8.5-inch floppy disk, which is a complete and total compliment, by the way, and you're welcome for it. And you didn't end up manifesting a thing. He legitimately forgot something. He walked in, and you passive-aggressively hinted that he needed to praise you for your shockingly plain dress. And the whole reason why he did it was because he knows that if he doesn't, then you'll use that against him when you start an argument over him for not tying his shoes in a way that you deem properly sanctioned. Now, even if you are telling the truth, who freaking cares? Your husband complimented you. You got what you wanted. Isn't showering you with an unhealthy amount of praise one of those bare minimum things that your kind never shuts up about? And answer me this, woman. When was the last time you gave a compliment to your husband? Odds are it's significantly less, and unlike you, he doesn't feel the need to shame you on the internet over it, because unlike you, he actually respects the sanctity of your marriage.
Magical, powerful. And then I never told him about, you know, the powers that I waged over him until I was on my way to my destination and he FaceTimed me and he started complimenting me again. And I was like, it's so funny. It's like so hilarious that you say that, because you did not acknowledge anything about how I was dressed or how I looked before you left the house the first time. And then I was thinking about it. I was like, oh my God, what the heck? And then whatever. I gave him the lowdown and he laughed so hard. And he's like, wow, so true, so right. Powerful girl. I'm mostly joking, by the way. I wear the clothes that I wear because I'm having fun and I want to wear it, you know? But like, also acknowledge it. Give me a compliment. God, I need words of affirmation or I'll die. I swear to God.
That's not my problem. It's yours.
Woman, the reason why he FaceTimed you was in hopes of keeping the peace. You made it clear that if you don't get your daily ration of endless praise, then you become angry and impossible to be around. So he's showering you with compliments so he can come home to a wife who's not going to be making his life a living hell, all because he didn't notice the painfully average dress that you were wearing. This isn't a magical power that you have over him. It's more like a minefield, and it's one he has to traverse regularly if he wants any chance of surviving the hell that is modern marriages. Now, if you're insecure to the point where you need daily affirmations because of whatever rags you throw on, then it's not on your husband to try to make you feel better, because at that point, nothing will make you feel better. You've already decided that your husband's going to have to pay that particular price when all he's doing is going about his day. So if you want your husband to compliment you more, try being a little bit more pleasant next time, and maybe dress a little bit better, and maybe you might get some recognition. Maybe. And that's gonna do it for today's video, gentlemen and gents. And as always, if you find that my particular brand of comedy is bringing you to the brink of laughter, then why don't you scroll on down and click that like and subscribe button, ring the notification bell, leave a couple of comments, and be sure to share this video so we can give the good old-fashioned middle finger to the YouTube algorithm. Thank you once again for checking out the new video, gentlemen and gents, and until next time, peace out, homies.